Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm Ansony Sieh, broadcasting here at Focus on Liberia. Welcome to the show. Hit the share button. Let's get started. And of course, this is Focus on Liberia, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. It's Tuesday, and as always, the hour of politics is here with me, Ansony Sieh, your host. In today's edition of the Hour of Politics, we have a topic that is scintillating for you, something to get you thinking politically, and something to get you wondering in the wonderland of politics. And I'm your guy, Ansony Sieh. I'm here with some information that is worth listening to, and I want you to stay with me as we go into this broadcast. Who is the real Darius Dillon? Is my topic in this edition of the Hour of Politics. If you are a fan of Darius Dillon, you want to be here. If you are a critic of Darius Dillon, you want to be here. If you admire Darius Dillon politicking, just as I do, you also want to be here. But here, in this edition of the Hour of Politics, I'm coming with some critical analysis and trying to identify who is the real Darius Dillon. For some time now, he has been going around with the code name The Light. Is he really the light? We are here to break it all down. Welcome and let us get started. Again, our topic, who is the real Darius Dillon? Folks, the name Darius Dillon has been in the Liberian political climate for some time now. Dillon, we know, has been a member of the opposition Liberty Party of Charles Walker Bronsky. Dillon exhibited a high degree of loyalty as a member of that party for so many years. Dillon will become one of the known individuals in the opposition Liberty Party. He supported Charles Walker Bronsky. He was loyal to Charles Bronsky. He sees Charles Bronsky as a political mentor. And so there was this impression, there was this understanding that Darius Dillon would be able to walk this political earth just as Charles Walker Bronsky did. And that he would take a position and support the party he cares about and stick to that party. That was what Bronsky did for the most part, especially when the Liberty Party was established. There's no history whatsoever of Charles Walker Bronsky, upon becoming very unsuccessful in any presidential election, pledging support to any other presidential candidate. No, Bronsky did not do that. Now, I am not giving you the impression that Dillon need to work in every shape and form as Charles Walker Bronsky did. But the picture I'm trying to tell you is that Charles Walker Bronsky was Darius Dillon political mentor. Charles Walker Bronsky never left the Liberty Party when the Liberty Party was founded. I don't know of Charles Walker Bronsky openly endorsing a presidential candidate after not making it to the second round. My political history doesn't tell me that. But Dillon, like an individual, does have the right to chart a path that he finds or sees as an alternative. And so, fast forward, we got to know Darius Dillon as this committed and loyal member of the opposition Liberty Party. He will go on to be appointed in the Liberty Party or elected. I know of an appointment, the one that was done by Councillor Fulanti Kofa, when Fulanti Kofa was serving as chairman of the opposition Liberty Party. At some point, Fulanti Kofa appointed Darius Dillon to be the vice president for policy and something else. So Dillon has been in the Liberty Party. My understanding is that he's vice president in the opposition, vice chairman in the opposition Liberty Party. So Dillon has been around in the Liberty Party. People got to know him as the Liberty Party guy. Dillon wears the Liberty Party's emblem, the Liberty Party uniform, if you like. He has the cap. He has the whole suit, green and white. That is Dillon projecting himself as a loyal member of the opposition Liberty Party. Is that Dillon the real Dillon? Is that the Darius Dillon that you know to be the real Darius Dillon? But fast forward, when Liberty Party came short in the 2011 general and presidential election, Charles Walker Bronskin, just as he did in the 2005 general and presidential election, did not endorse anybody for the second round or for the runoff. But Darius Dillon, following 2005, the 2011 election, when the Liberty Party did not succeed, Dillon was on the side of the Unity Party. Mr. Darius Dillon, we know for a fact, supported Ellen Johnson Sirleaf when the Liberty Party was not successful. He went with the Unity Party of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This is a Dillon who established himself as a loyal partisan of the Liberty Party to the point that he rose to the ranks of leadership in the Liberty Party. He was the guy who was following the footsteps of Councillor Bronskin, a guy he will always reference all the time, a guy he told us that has been able to coach him along the political path. So people were of the view that Dillon would be more like Charles Walker Bronskin. But Dillon, he has something of himself. He became a man of himself. He became a man who could chart his own course. And I don't see that to be anything wrong. As a man, as a leader, you must be able to make decisions for your political survivability or for your political future. And not because Charles Bronskin could not support somebody, so Darius Dillon needed not to support anybody. No, that is not the point I'm making. But in order to know who is the real Darius Dillon, we have to understand that as a member of the Liberty Party, as a godson of Charles Walker Bronskin. So let's talk about Charles Walker Bronskin's son, Darius Dillon. I started talking about that already. So he was so fond of Charles Walker Bronskin, how he gathered him along the political journey, how some of his unique understandings of some legal issues and government issues in our country were given to him and instilled in him by Charles Walker Bronskin. But this was Bronskin who felt that if at all the Liberian people did not choose him, he needed to allow the Liberian people to make a decision. That was his choice. But for Dillon, it was different. The Charles Walker Bronskin's son, Dillon, was the guy who was, their loyal partisan of the Liberty Party. To a certain extent, that able lieutenant of Charles Walker Bronskin. Bronskin never supported the Unity Party, to my knowledge. Neither did he endorse any other presidential candidate whenever he was never successful to making it to the second round. But for Dillon, it was a different case. And I'm saying to you, that is not wrong. But let us make progress and find out. So Dillon will go on the side of the Unity Party. And let us understand what decision was Darius Dillon making. This is a guy today who is known as the light. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, we all know her political sin, her political crimes, helped to bring Charles Taylor, finance a rebel war that wiped away 250,000 of our fellow citizens. And throughout the war years, many of us, our youth, were being robbed of us. The Liberian schools were completely non-existent because of a war. An entire generation of Liberians were denied access to education. And today, Senator Darius Dillon will want to beat that trumpet of being a champion of the Zogos. But the creator of the Zogos was Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Dillon had endorsed the creator of the Zogos. So that Charles Walker Bronsky's son, Dillon, I want to know whether he is the real Darius Dillon, or is it the Darius Dillon who abandoned his party, endorsed Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, campaigned for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, rode with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, dined with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and not only that, was riding with the son of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf called Robert Sirleaf. Robert Sirleaf was more like a de facto president in Liberia during his mom's rule in Liberia. I thought Dillon was this son of Charles Walker Bronsky, the man of the law, the man of accountability. And this is a guy who will go and endorse somebody who brought carnage on our country, who will not have the slightest understanding that electing people who bear the greatest responsibility for the carnage that were perpetrated in our country was more like saying what they did was right, and so they deserve to be president. So I'm asking the question, folks, who is the real Darius Dillon? Is that the Charles Walker Bronsky son Dillon, or the Dillon who became the son of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? Who is the real Darius Dillon, folks? And so, as I was telling you, Bronsky broke away from Charles Taylor. At some point, somebody must say to his credit, because of Taylor's record as a rebel leader, Bronsky at some point made the argument that Taylor was not good for Liberia. And I will agree with Bronsky, because in no time there was an economic embargo on Charles Taylor. Liberia was being economically and politically strangulated. And so to have had Charles Taylor at the time, a former rebel leader, in whose hands Liberians were being solemnized, and somebody will even go as far as saying decapitated, Charles Walker Bronsky said, no, I can't go with this guy. That was a conscious decision he made in the best interest of accountability and based on values and human decency. But Charles Walker Bronsky's son, Dillon, in my opinion, will go to do the opposite of his political godfather. The man, he said, was like a mentor to him, who has shown him the light on this political journey. So there was Bronski moving away from Charles Taylor because of his record as a rebel leader who brought a war, persecuted a war that led to the death of so many thousands Liberians. And not only that, throughout the war, Liberians, for the most part, at some point were not in schools. All the schools were being ransacked and looted, and every institution was brought to its knees. So at some point, somebody will argue, to Bronski's credit, whether he did it politically, but the decision was right to have walked away from Charles Taylor. Because I was in Liberia at the time. Charles Taylor administration was tough. I remember the song, "Times So Hard, Times So Rough." Everybody going crazy. Everybody going banana. I was there. And only Radio Veritas could play that song, because Radio Veritas at that time was being protected by the Catholic Church through Archbishop Michael Bakla Francis. But if any radio station dare play that song, you are in trouble. I'm saying to say, Bronski was right. Taylor government was bad news for Liberia. The guy was a former rebel leader, and because of that record, was under economic embargo. That is more than a sanction. And we paid the price. And so to have seen Charles Walker Bronski's son Dillon, to have endorsed Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I think we have to ask the question, who is the real Darius Dillon? Is the real Darius Dillon the one who was Charles Walker Bronski's son? Or is the real Darius Dillon the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's son? Who is the real Darius Dillon? So Darius Dillon, folks, supported Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I can argue that he didn't care about Ellen's record as somebody who helped to finance a rebel war that killed his brothers and sisters, that ravaged his country and its economy, and that robbed many youths of their future. I didn't think Dillon cared about that. If Dillon had cared about accountability, he would not have done everything in his power to have supported Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and even rewarding her for her crimes, both political and economic crime, and also the war crime, arguably, that I can make here with my political eyes. If only Dillon had cared about accountability and justice, but that Dillon will tell you today he's the man of the law, that he cares about justice, that he cares about accountability. He could not hold Ellen accountable, that her role in the war was enough for her not to be blessed with political power. But Dillon went on and endorsed Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So is President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's son Dillon the real Dillon, or the real Darius Dillon? Or is it the Charles Walker Bronski's son Dillon who is the real Darius Dillon? Now, folks, let me show you Mr. Dillon the Light. I like this guy. He is a politician. And if you are looking at a politician who has, acquired the skills of how, he can make his part to ball, he is a politician by excellence. So there is Mr. A.B. Darius Dillon after he won for the first time in 2019. But we will get to that. So that is our guy, Mr. Darius Dillon. So again, as I was saying, who is the real Darius Dillon? Is this the Charles Walker Bronski's son Dillon or the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's son Dillon? So Dillon did not care about accountability and justice. Endorsed Ellen, campaigned for her, and Ellen took him as a political godson. Ellen even took Darius Dillon to the United Nations General Assembly. He was right behind him. Her, sorry. Many of you have seen the picture, but that picture may not matter to you right now. But what I want you to take away here is that Dillon was rolling with Ellen. He didn't care about Ellen war record. People who died because of Ellen financing war, Dillon didn't care about it. Dillon was in this for Dillon. Ellen Johnson's son, Dillon. Do you think Dillon had care about accountability? And this very Dillon will tell us that he wants to see the war and economic crime court come to Liberia. And yet he will campaign for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Well, I don't know of how loud Dillon is in trying to push a bill in the House for the War and Economic Crime Court. I've heard him many times. He said he's for the War and Economic Crime Court, but I know when someone is for something. I know Dillon, to the greater extent, is for salary reduction. We saw a bill, not only did he talk about it, we see some substantive moves. Whether or not those are genuine, whether or not they are intended to pay him political dividend, that is another thing. But if this guy had cared about war and economic crime court, he would not have campaigned for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He would not have supported her. He would not have rode with her. And to the greater extent, the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf son Dillon aided and abetted nepotism. Dillon aided and abetted nepotism. Robert Sirleaf was in government. Charles Sirleaf was in government. My understanding is there is another one who was at NSA, I think Fuma Sirleaf. Ellen's sons were in government. Ellen's sisters were in government. Ellen's friends were in government. Nepotism to the highest order. Dillon would not say a thing about that nepotism, even though the very Ellen Johnson Sirleaf went after Tobo viciously for nepotism. But when Ellen started practicing nepotism to the core, what Dillon did was to roll with Ellen, travel with her, to an extent that Dillon got an extraordinary scholarship. I have never seen a scholarship that extra and that ordinary. Darius Dillon will go to learn that scholarship from the Sirleaf because he was rolling with them. He was buttering their bread and he was getting a little crumbs of it. And he felt that he was up to something. My question is, who is the real Darius Dillon? We will come to the light. Then Dillon will come out to tell us that he is the light. Oh, I got news for you on the light. We will do a political analysis. And this is not to, by any means, tell you Dillon is this horrible guy or whatsoever. Look, we are talking about accountability. Something that Darius Dillon preaches, according to him. And so if he is a man of accountability, of course, then we have to talk about accountability, starting with the very Darius Dillon. There's a saying that if you want to preach change, you must first be the change that you preach. And so Dillon claims to be the man of integrity, the man of accountability, but from what I've been able to propound so far, Dillon is getting a letter grade that I don't think you are impressed with right now, but I made progress. So Dillon aided and abetted on the question of nepotism. Dillon was not small when Ellen was beating the drum about nepotism, or even if he were that small, he read the pages of history that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf have made the cry of nepotism on the Talbot administration her mantra for advocacy, political advocacy for the matter. Dillon knows that. And that very Dillon, with no early war record, will go and campaign and endorse and start rolling with her, and will aid and abet Ellen Johnson Sirleaf appointing her sons with her heirs in government. And that Dillon, the real Darius Dillon, I don't know that real Darius Dillon right now. Because the Ellen son, Darius Dillon, was rolling with Ellen, was aiding and abetting Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, appointing her sons into government. And one of her sons, Robert Sirleaf, who Darius Dillon got close to, who go and bankrupt one of our institutions, which happened to be Nukar. When was the last time you heard anything substantive from Darius Dillon about Robert Sirleaf? When was the last time you heard anything substantive from him concerning the crimes of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? But I will give Dillon some credit here. I did my research. Dillon blew the trumpet on Ellen's failure for the fight against corruption. Dillon went on record for saying that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government failed to win the war against corruption. And to his credit, he was on that extraordinary scholarship, and he flew in Liberia and talked about that. He expressed his disappointment at the time. But the question is, what was Dillon expecting from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf when he know her war record, her political crimes, all those times? What was he expecting? Did Dillon actually go to support Ellen Johnson Sirleaf because he wanted the good for Liberia? Or was it actually for his own bread to be buttered at the time? What do you think? And let me give you some news here. When Dillon was with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Dillon said, and I quote, that he was able to get some money from individuals who wanted to see Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. At some point, if you wanted to see Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Dillon was your path to that political throne at the time Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was in power. Dillon said this, I listened to him when he went as CEO. A young man asked the question, Senator Dillon, today you are preaching accountability and you are ringing the war bell for corruption in government, but you are on record for saying that you took money from people, individuals who wanted to see Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And Dillon confirmed that, yes, I did that and I did not do anything wrong. So this is Dillon who had access to the throne of Liberia. And in order for him to grant somebody access to that throne, Dillon needed to cash out. Dillon worse, folks. Here I focus on Liberia. We're not in the business of twisting people's words or coming up with things that actually they do not say. Dillon worse. That it was right, it was justifiable. He did not do anything wrong for accepting money from individuals who wanted to see the president and could not see the president, and Dillon classified that as lobbying. So he got his lobbying fee. The question is, who is the real Darius Dillon? Those of you who are fans of Darius Dillon, I know some of you might be saying, but what is this guy up to here? I mean, this guy is becoming, quote unquote, the hope of Liberia. This guy is trying to preach a different kind of politics that we want in Liberia. And so why can't you, Ansony, cut this guy slack? Let me tell you why I can't cut anybody slack when it comes to Liberia. Because our people have suffered too long. Liberia is 200 years behind when it comes to development. 200 years. Someone may make the argument maybe Liberia is even 300 years behind. And so this is no time to cut anybody a slack when that person is in a position of authority and they can use that authority to do so much good. No, this is not the time. And I expect everybody here watching me to do the same. Told me as I sit here in my capacity as a talk show host. If I say anything wrong, I encourage you to hold me accountable so that I can get better. Because when I get better, Liberia will be served well. So let us hold these politicians accountable. Not only who they are today, but we must also be able to question their past. And so Darius Dillon, Ellie's son Darius Dillon, will cash out to grant anybody access to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He got an extraordinary scholarship from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He was being paid while he was going to school. An extraordinary. How many Liberians got that privilege? So you think Dillon had endorsed Ellen at the time for the good of Liberia? Or was it for his political benefit? Somebody may argue it was for his political benefit. Yes, Dillon had enjoyed. Dillon boasted that, look, I had the gravy right in front of me. I was on the table. I like the guy. You know, he uses, phrases, and he communicates, in a very effective way that is relatable, that resonates, with people. Dillon will say, look, I was right before the table. I had a gravy right in front of me, Darius Dillon will say, but I walk away from the gravy. Hey, Mr. Dillon, after you have had enough of the gravy, when you saw that the ship was sinking, that Ellen path was to be aborted by the Liberian people, and so you decided to walk away. You abandoned your party, the Liberty Party, and went to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, but Liberty Party, because Liberty Party did not win the presidential elections. You could not afford to live in the political wilderness for that long with Charles Walker Brodsky, and so you walk away. You went to the gravy, Darius Dillon. The gravy did not come seeking you. You went seeking for the gravy. And when you got the gravy, when you had enough of the gravy, when you saw that that gravy pad was drying up, Mr. Dillon, you walk away. Mr. Dillon, you walk away. And so earlier, I have given Dillon some credit that he went on record to say, look, Ellen lost the war on corruption. Ellen lost the war on corruption. Dillon went on record. Not one time, not two times, he said it many times. So the question is, since Dillon was this convinced that Ellen was corrupt, what is that Dillon doing now about it? Someone may argue, oh, but Dillon is not a president. Dillon can't be the one to do this and do that. Maybe it makes sense if you say that. Maybe you make sense. But Dillon is in government, folks. Dillon is bashing the likes of Tue, Weah, Mangel, and many others. The crime that you saw yesterday that was against the interest of Liberia, that crime is still in existence. Let me progress, folks. So that was Darius Dillon, the son of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the friend of Robert Sirleaf. As a friend of, Robert Sirleaf friend Dillon, he was running with Robert Sirleaf. They were the best of friends. Many times they met. Robert was appointed into government by his mother, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That was nepotistic. Did he hear Dillon making noise about it? No, he didn't care about it. Because why? He was benefiting. The question is, who is the real Darius Dillon? Is this the Robert Sieh friend Dillon, the real Dillon? Or the Ellen Johnson political son Dillon, the real Dillon? Or the Child Walker Broskin's son Dillon, who is the real Dillon? I know many of you want to hear about the light. We'll come to the light. I have a whole lot of things there to talk about. Fast forward. We had Robert Sieh. Let's look at what's the name? Snow. Dillon will go on to serve in the office of Edwin Snow. So he became a friend of Edwin Mervyn Snow. Is Edwin Mervyn Snow friend or Stafford Dillon, the real Dillon? Dillon will go on to become another Stafford, this time Joel Taylor. Joel Taylor Stafford Dillon. That's the real Darius Dillon that you know? Which one you know? But then fast forward, folks, in 2019, the opportunity came for Darius Dillon. After Dillon saw that the political gravy in the Unity Party was drying out, was going to cease, he jumped ship. He left and went back to Unity Party and started making noise. Oh, Ellen is bad. Ellen, there's corruption. She's not fighting. She's not doing anything about it. But he didn't complain that Ellen gave me scholarship. He didn't complain that I had the extraordinary scholarship. He didn't complain that, oh, Robert Sieh and myself were friends. He didn't complain about that. He was complaining about corruption. I agree. We all need to complain about corruption. But what did you do about it? But he left. He jumped ship. It was because that gravy was drying out. Fast forward, Ellen Johnson administration had left the scene. He went back to the Liberty Party. Liberty Party will welcome him. Funanti Kofa at the time was chairman of the opposition Liberty Party. He will appoint Darius Dillon. Darius Dillon will go on to create the Darius Dillon intellectual, platform on Facebook. He started doing very well with that. People started commenting. But the very Dillon will be blocking individuals who disagree with him on that very platform. To Dillon's credit, he sustained that platform. He's even started going live. And Dillon started getting traction. Dillon, being member of the opposition Liberty Party, will form part of the opposition CPP. Dillon will become candidate for the CPP in Mosorado County. Dillon will go on to win. Why? Because Dillon, as cleverly as he will calculate, went back to Liberty Party because he saw that, the political leverage of the Unity Party was disappearing. Liberians had no interest in that anymore. They were looking for an alternative. So he said, well, let me go home. Because when I go home, I will recalibrate and maybe I'll see gravy rising on the other end. So he went by, he was accepted. The Dillon who could not win a seat in Mosorado County will go on to win that seat in 2018. But what happened? What happened? Dillon, during that election, got money from Abache, pro tem Abache. And many of you know how Dillon bashes the CDC, bashing the CDC all the time, corrupt, Samuel Twer, this person, and this is a guy in the middle of the night who walked to Abache. Whether or not they are friends, that's a possibility. But he got money from him. He never disclosed the money. And during the campaign, as many of you are aware, Darius Dillon said that the Senate is dark. I'm going in there to show the light. That place is dark. The legislature, especially the Senate, Dillon propounded that argument eloquently that the legislature having to be our problem. That place is dark. I must go there. Because the CDC dominates that place. The president, along with Abache, they are controlling that place, using money to get whatever they want. So I'm going to go there. As many of you are aware, During that time, we have the Iboma and Inter D that was passed by that very legislature in the middle of the night with a 4G speed. Dillon was unhappy with that. Who did that? Abochie did that. Dillon was fuming about that. And this is the Dillon will become a candidate, folks. And that Dillon will go to that very Abochie and take money from him for his campaign. Did the Dillon disclose that money he took from Abochie for his campaign? No, that Dillon did not disclose that money that he took from Abochie, the guy he was whining about passing legislation or ratifying agreements at a 5G speed, something we all agree was not in the best interest of the country, because the institution the government were trying to get the money from, they had no solvency history, financially speaking. Let me read a quote for you from Dillon that I will use throughout this broadcast. This is Darius Dillon speaking. When you operate under the cloud of darkness, then you create suspicion in the eyes of the people. I want you to read it again while I pay attention to you. You read it for yourself. Dillon speaking. When you operate under the cloud of darkness, then you create suspicions in the eyes of the people. So Darius Dillon was campaigning, projecting himself that the legislature is dark, especially the Senate. Send me there, let me shine the light. That place is our problem. That was after Dillon had come into the Liberty Party. He had abandoned in favor of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, probably for a political dividend of gravy. And so, folks, that Dillon was saying, after getting the blessing of the CPP, said, oh, that place is dark. I want to go there. And who had created that darkness? Abochie, who happened to be the head of the Senate, I would think, was the chief architect of the darkness that Darius Dillon was talking about in the Senate. Am I not making sense here? And this is Dillon speaking. When you operate under the cloud of darkness, then you create suspicion in the eyes of the people. That very Dillon, in the middle of the night, while preaching light, will go in the darkness and take money from Abochie, a man he has collectively found guilty of creating a darkness at the Liberian Senate. He will take money from him. Don't you see Dillon operating under the cloud of darkness here? Do you not see that? Oh, I get it. Oh, that the man friend, politics doesn't mean you can't make friends, that you can't get support from your friends. Really? You want to make that moral argument here? Here is the thing. Darius Dillon did not get about $100,000 from Abochie. I doubted that he even got around $20,000 for him. Dillon will go on to win that Senate seat in 2019 with 30,000 votes over Polita Weir. Had Dillon not gotten a dime from Abochie, Dillon would have won the election anyway. The CDC was disappearing in the eyes of the Liberian people. Liberian people were not feeling the love. Liberian people were resolved to put somebody in that seat other than the CDC. Dillon did not need money from Abochie to win. Who is the real Darius Dillon? He said the guy who talking about the cloud of darkness. When you operate under the cloud of darkness, then you create suspicion. Dillon has created suspicion here. Bash the CDC, accuse the legislators, the senators, as being the one creating darkness at the Liberian Senate, that he had the light, he was going there with the light. But then in the middle of the night, we'll go to one of those guys who happen to be the creators of the darkness, and take money from him. Dillon would have won that election. Dillon did not need money from Abochie to have won that election, but Dillon did. Who is the real Darius Dillon? Is he really the light? What relationship does light have with darkness? Why will a light turn itself off and go in the darkness just for it to be in the light? Folks, am I making sense here? Look, let me tell you something. The way politics is being done in Liberia is no different from how politics is being done everywhere in the world. We see that in America today. But I'm telling you, it's bad. It shouldn't be that way. We must be able to advocate for the better serves within us and act on that better serves within us. For when we do, we serve well. Now, that was not enough for that Darius Dillon. Another campaign will come subsequently, which is the December 8th by-election that just ended. Dillon, to his credit, he got in the Senate. He started making noise here and there politically. He started exposing few things. He fell in love with the Liberian people. And he will be able to solidify his nickname, the Light. And what did he do to really earn that title, folks? All Dillon did was to just disclose the salary that lawmakers were making. It was a promise that he made during the campaign. He waited patiently. According to him, he got a handwritten breakdown of his benefit or his purse. And so he had a press conference and disclosed that actually the Liberian Senate was making $15,000. Was that news to you, folks? Darius Dillon was chief of staff to Joel Howard Taylor. Darius Dillon, if you go on the internet, your post about Darius Dillon. Darius Dillon did something good for himself that I like. This guy is a very calculated politician. About Darius Dillon, put it in Google, you will see it will appear. All the major news stories about Darius Dillon that are positive, they are there. You can read more about all the things he has been doing. The education places he has worked, his profile and all that. Schools he graduated from, everything is there about Darius Dillon. I like that. That's how a politician should operate. Let people look you up and see things that you've said in the past and maybe have done. I'm saying this to say that Darius Dillon talked about how he worked with Joel Howard Taylor, how he worked with Edwin Mervyn Snow. And if you read that, he will tell you that with his work at the time, he knew almost everything that was happening in the legislature. That's what Darius Dillon said. So that close, and that he was more like the chief administrator of the Senate at some point because of Joel Howard Taylor and the leverage that he had. He knew everything. And even during that time, Dillon had information that about 90,000 US dollars that was intended to pay legislative staffers, the lawmakers took that money and ate it when they should have paid the legislative staffers. Dillon had that information. And he gave an ultimatum to the lawmakers at the time that if you people don't pay, I will say something, I will expose it. And to Dillon's credit, he did that. It got him by board. He was taken to the Supreme Court. I think he was put into jail, yeah. He was thrown into jail, but later he went to court and he won the case. I'm saying this to say that Darius Dillon all along knew how much the lawmakers were making. He knew that, but he will not tell you that. Let me show you some information. Folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Ansony Sieh, and I am the host of the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia. Our topic for today is, who is the real Darius Dillon? Let me show you something to further put what I'm trying to share with you in context, folks. We are fact-based here, folks. We are analytical here also. Now, let me make this a little bigger for you, folks. so you can see it. All right. The information you see on the screen, if you look there carefully, it said National Budget 2015-2016. Now, if you look there, let me roll it on the side so you can see basic salary, House of Representatives in the green section, folks. You see that? Speaker, 6,500, 6,500. Yes, is this 65,000? Those of you who know figures. So you see there, you see the speaker. This is the speaker, 65210. General allowance, I believe this is 25,000. This is 25,700. This is, yeah, this is what it is. All right. They didn't put a dollar sign. I'm not a numbers guy, folks, so I apologize if I'm letting you down here, but I'm not a numbers guy. But I would think these figures are without the dollar sign or out with the dollar sign. I am not sure. But these are the numbers. They are very outstanding and revealing. 2025, 2016. So these pieces of information have been around. The lawmakers at the time were making this kind of money. Dillon had access to most of the record at the time he was there. But when Dillon got elected, the only thing Dillon showed us was what? The 15,000 basic salary. This is it. He gave some breakdown about other things, and but Dillon did not give all these details. Salary, general allowance, special allowance, transportation reimbursement allowance, foreign travel. Why up to now Dillon has not given us the details? Why, folks? Is Dillon actually the light here? You see the information? I believe this kind of information is still available today. Can Dillon give us a full disclosure of how much the lawmakers are making? We want to know foreign travel. We want to know domestic travel, internet, water and sewage, residential property lease, fuel, generator. Look at these figures. Those of you who know numbers, look at them. Let me position it well so you can see the whole thing. I just feel that if I make it small, you may not be able to read it. You see how astounding these numbers are. Can you see that? Can you see that, folks? Basic salary, 65,210 for speaker, deputy speaker, 64740. Then each lawmaker, 34,956. And then you go to the Senate. The numbers are even bigger. And look at all these things here. All right. Look, folks, the question I'm asking is, who is the real Darius Dillon? Do you want to tell me that Darius Dillon, as a senator, cannot get information like this to disclose it to the Liberian people? He said he's the light. Because the little he showed us, it's nothing. It's just like 5% of what he disclosed. Let Darius Dillon be able to give us a breakdown of everything that every lawmaker, if he can't give it for the House of Representatives, that would be understandable. But for the Senate, let him give it. This is the man of transparency, right? Let Darius Dillon give us those figures. Let him release the record. Let's see it. But that very Darius Dillon, the light, when the stimulus package time came, that Darius Dillon to $6,500 for him to vote for a stimulus package. And during this time, folks, the coronavirus was in Liberia. The government had declared a state of emergency. The government, in its calculation, felt the need that we needed a stimulus package. Liberia that is broke needed a stimulus package. Darius Dillon bought that, and he had believed that the Liberian government that we know could provide a stimulus package for the Liberian people. So Darius Dillon, the light, had yet another opportunity to show that he's actually the light. Guess what happened? Dillon took $6,000. They were bribed with $6,500. I know Prince Johnson said it was 8,000, but so we don't know. But most of the lawmakers, some of them said it was 6,500. Dillon took that money, and that is how he voted for the stimulus package. Today, Liberians are yet to get, some Liberians are yet to get the rights. That stimulus package money now is, your guess is as good as mine. Dillon the light to 6,500. That is your light. So my question I'm asking here is, who is the real Darius Dillon? Is this the guy who say he's the light? Fast forward. Musa Belete. Musa Hassan Belete has this cloud hanging over him in the space of public opinion. In the court of public opinion, he's guilty. I'm not sure of the code of law. Some people said that he admitted in the code of law and that he was ordered by the court to pay. I did not get hold of that record, but the record that we have in our possession here, focus on Liberia, FIFA did an investigation, and FIFA went as far as banning him for 10 years. He was also asked to pay back. We have Mr. Belete here. He denied all the allegations. But the point I'm making is Mr. Musa Belete has this cloud hanging over him. Mr. Musa Belete, in my opinion, is found guilty in the court of public opinion. And if you are a politician, you have to take into consideration public opinion, public perception of an individual or yourself. So the convention was not even near for the Liberty Party. We learned from the former chairman of the Liberty Party, the most recent former chairman. He said that Dillon told him in Grand Bassa County that they needed to have the convention in August. This gone last year, August. Say, what, Mr. Dillon, really? And it was not the time for the convention for the opposition Liberty Party. But Dillon wanted that convention. It became clear later that Dillon wanted that convention because Darius Dillon wanted to reciprocate to his financer. Mr. Musa Belete financed Darius Dillon campaign in 2019 and 2020. So Darius Dillon, along with Nyomli Kanka Lawrence, Senator Lawrence, decided to make Musa Hassan Belete the chairman of the Liberty Party. They provided leadership. Today, Musa Belete is the chairman of the Liberty Party. And there's so much outcry. So, this is Darius Dillon, who mustered the courage to say President George Weah is evil. And sometimes I wonder the reason why he calling George Weah evil. Because George Weah is the president. There are a lot of corruption cases going on. There are a lot of scandals upon scandal, report of corruption. And in his own judgment, George Weah is not doing anything about it. I'm just trying to figure out why he mustered the courage to call George Weah evil. He said George Weah is evil. I don't know. He's a senator. There are a lot of things he hears that I don't hear. So for him to have called George Weah pure evil, that's the word he used, that is profound. George Weah must have been doing something terrible. And I will agree that one of the things that George Weah is doing that he's calling evil will be the issue of corruption in the Weah government has been reported over and over. And that is why, in my judgment, or one of the reasons why he was calling George Weah evil. So my question remains, who is the real Darius Dillon? Now, this Darius Dillon was also a friend of President George Malawi. Now, I'm showing you an image right there. There is Senator Darius Dillon, now Senator Darius Dillon, when George Weah graduated, shaking President George Malawi. He was friend with George Weah. The brother is good at making friends. He was friend with Joel Howard Taylor. I think he still is. Edwin Snow, I think he still is. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, where he bragged about having the gravy right before him. And then he was friend with George Weah during the time George Weah was in opposition. There he is, I believe, attending the graduation of now President George Weah. And this is a friend now, he's saying he is pure evil. But when was the last time you heard Darius Dillon calling Ellen Johnson Sirleaf pure evil? When was the last time? All of them floating the idea that Ellen lost the war on corruption. Have you ever heard Dillon calling Ellen Johnson Sirleaf pure evil? I have not heard that. Have you heard him call Benin Europe pure evil? No, I have not heard that. Who is the other person he has ever called pure evil? Or who is a representation of evil? Nobody other than George Weah. He will not even call Ellen pure evil. Ellen has committed so many crimes, brought the war, and despite I talked about that earlier, Dillon will leave the Liberty Party for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Dillon will aid and abet Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to commit nepotism in Liberia. Ellen's sons were in government. He was friends with them. He didn't find anything with that. The modern mean school, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf wrecked the Liberian education system. He will not see that as evil. I don't want to be seen as being on the side of George Weah here, because in my judgment, he is yet another political disappointment. He definitely is. And many of you who have been listening to me know how I see it when it comes to this issue of governance under the Weah presidency. Who is the real Darius Dillon? Is there Joel Howard Taylor Stafford Dillon the real Dillon? Is there Robert Sirleaf friend or Dillon the real Dillon? Is there President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's son Dillon the real Dillon? Or is it Charles Walker Brunskin's son Dillon the real Dillon? Answer me, folks. Or is it the Liberty Party Dillon versus the Musa Belete friend Dillon the real Dillon? The other thing is Dillon the lights on the CDC versus Dillon the blind man on the opposition. When it comes to the government, Dillon and myself are in agreement that the government will be held accountable, that the government has so many government trouble, so many news of corruption. We are in agreement that the government will be held accountable, because it is the government and it must be held accountable for the benefit of Liberia and Liberians. So Dillon is the light when it comes to the current government. He sees Twe, he sees Mange, he sees George Weah, he sees Bed Twe, he sees everybody. He even told Western Tapper to tax on the very stimulus money that Dillon voted for. Dillon knew that the government was giving WEFP almost $10,000 just to what? Lace people. Dillon voted for that. And even before he could vote, he took 6,500. He would turn around and apologize that it was poor judgment on his part. But that Dillon does not see anything wrong with Musa Hassan Belete with the cloud hanging over him to be his party chairman. Why he did that? Because the men financed his campaign. That Dillon finds nothing wrong with Brandon Samuka being on the opposition CPP or ticket. Have you heard anything? Someone told me that Dillon even said that he who is without sin should cast the first stone. Talking about the case against Brandon Samoka. That one, it has not been independently verified, but focus on Liberia. But Dillon is on record for saying that Musa Belete was the Saul who is now the Paul. Now, a few things going in my mind why Dillon said that. Because the very Dillon was the Saul. When Dillon was rolling and dining with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I think Dillon saw himself at the Paul. Because at some point, that very Darius Dillon have to abandon his extraordinary scholarship that was more than paid in full and would not end his degree and go back to Liberia, quote unquote, because the Liberian people were suffering. Hello? Darius Dillon abandoned his status. He reasoned the Liberian people were suffering as though his presence coming back to Liberia would solve the problem. When was the last time somebody came and solved it? Were you coming as president? Oh, wow. Even if you're president, I mean, what can you do? Folks. So this Dillon, who at some point admitted that the Liberian people were suffering. The suffering was so serious that he abandoned his status, ran to Liberia, stay would not call Ellen the devil. The very Unity Party he supported is obvious now. That's why he can't say anything about Brandon Samoka. Someone said, I read somewhere that Dillon said, oh, he who have not seen should cut the first stone. That has not been. But what we can confirm here, Dillon said Hassan Belete was the Saul, who is now the Paul. Now, when he said that, I said, wow, he's not helping Hassan yet. Look, let's look at Dillon is the guy who is always preaching the Bible, using the Bible and all that, right? So let's talk about a little bit of the Bible. I'm not a Bible guy. I'm a guy who believes in African spirituality. I believe that there's God Almighty, but I don't believe that there's something called miracle. I believe that God has endowed all of us with wisdom and intellect to be able to make our own decision. I don't believe in holy oil. I don't believe in your pastor praying for you and something happening. I don't believe that. Because my Bible tells me, surely, no food for lazy men. So if you can apply that principle, you should be fine. But let me not bore you with, that's not my area. My area is then my little, political analysis that I'm learning here. So fast forward. Darius Dillon, let me find my little note here, folks, for you. Let's talk about that. Preacher Dillon, the Saul Paul doctrine. So this preacher, Darius Dillon, who preaches the Saul Paul doctrine, said that Musa Belete was Saul, who now turned to Paul. So whatever cloud that hangs over him, it shouldn't matter. You know why he's saying that? Because this guy's financed his campaign. So he needed to reciprocate. He didn't care about the cloud that was hanging over this guy, the noise that was going to bring to the CPP. In as much as it served Dillon's interest, it was okay. And here, normally, I can say to you, politically speaking, they politically sold that seat to Hassan Belete or Musa Belete. They sold it. We remember the cry of what's his name, Edward Tomei, who had been a loyal member of the opposition Liberty Party. Even when Dillon abandoned the Liberty Party for gravy in the Unity Party for the Sirleaf, that guy was there. This guy will leave and cry foul that the convention was being managed, that it was being sold to the highest bidder. This is a loyal member of the opposition Liberty Party. Dillon is telling us and preaching the Saul Paul doctrine. Let's look at the Bible, what the Bible said about Saul. Saul was a wicked man. He persecuted Christians. He killed Christians. He destroyed all the churches. And one day he was on his way to Damascus. And this guy, his crime, his sin was so grave that the Holy Spirit had to arrest him. God Almighty himself had to speak to this guy. That this is too much. That is a kind of criminal, hardcore criminal. Somebody who was killing Christians, the children of God, the followers of Jesus Christ, will be persecuted by Saul. That's how wicked he was. I can say to you, Saul then was later the Adolf Hitler of Germany. And Dillon, the man who financed his campaign, he would dare tell us that that man was Saul. So what he said was even damaging for Hassan's ability or Musa's ability than what Dillon was trying to say. Where is it going on with this Saul Paul doctrine nonsense? My question is, who is the real Darius Dillon? Is that the guy who is telling us he's the light? What kind of light he is? I just show you documentation, the catalog that gave a breakdown of the what, the salaries, the purse of what lawmakers are making in Liberia. Because of time, I'm not going to show that to you again. Darius Dillon only came and showed us just 5%, and we celebrated him. But for some reason, something tells me I should show it so that I can give you the total, because that total will make a lot of sense to many of you. Yeah, let me show it quickly. Bear with me. So this guy preaching the Saul Paul doctrine? Seriously? So here it is, folks. Bear with me here. I'm going to make it big again for you to be able to see. And I want us to look at the total. Those of you who are numbers people, I'm not a number guy. All right. Folks, this is where I want you to look. The total. And because it's the total, I'm going to make it bigger for you to be able to see. So you see the last number. The first one here is the one with the 44,44945. That is for the speaker. That is the yearly earning of the speaker. If my reading of this figure is right, it is $444,945. That is almost $500,000 for the speaker. And the deputy speaker, I'm looking at the numbers below, folks. It is $440,961. That is for the what? The deputy speaker. And then for each member of the House of Representatives, it is $408,203. Folks, you see that? And let me bring it to you. You see the House of Representatives green here, and this is the House of Senate. Has Dillon given you any breakdown? Has he been able to disclose to the Liberian people how much these lawmakers are making? The total? Did he give you that? But he promised you were going to expose something, right? He exposed a tiny little bit. The man's a senator. He has access to this information. He can demand a breakdown, and he should be able to give it to him. And if he can't get it, let him protest. Let me share with you somebody who did something, even though he has fallen out of favor with the Liberian people, is Rufus Nouvel. Rufus Numve, during the transitional government, I was in Liberia, so my memory is fresh on this one. We had just come from war. There was this Judy Bryant government. The government had no money, but the government of Judy Bryant, that transitional government, has procured Grand Cherokee Jeep for every lawmaker. There were no buses. Transportation was a living hell. We have just gone through the World War I and World War II and all that. Even the taxes that were helping people were no more. There was scarcity of cars in Liberia. I will give you some political history here. But then the government decided that they were going to procure cars for lawmakers and even officials of government. Grand Cherokee Jeep. I just can't remember the exact price at the time. Rufus Numve, in protest, said, no, we're just coming from war. There are no buses running for the ordinary people. And we are getting Grand Cherokee Jeep for each of us? No, I'm not going to do it. I am not going to do it. Rufus Numve refused to take his car because his colleagues in that place were embarrassed. Guess what they did? They suspended him. And he agreed, I'm going to take my suspension. For 3 solid months, Rufus Numve went without pay in Liberia. He had just come from the University of Liberia. He was conscious about the issues in the country at the time. That was Rufus Numve, but he turned out to be something else. I'm not sure of that. Rufus Numve said, I'm not doing it. And he stood his ground. He did not go to work for 3 months. His car, his Grand Cherokee Jeep, was parking at the grounds of the Capitol. 3 months later, in shame and embarrassment, the Liberian government, the National Transitional Government of Liberia, they call it at the time, NTGL, went and procured some buses for ordinary citizens. And then later on, now Rufus Numve will go on to say, I cannot take my car. At least transportation has been eased in the country a little bit. Rufus Numve, whatever you know of him right now, he did that. What I'm trying to tell you is that look at these numbers. If for any reason Darius Dillon can't get all these numbers to disclose to us, saying he claims he is the light, Darius Dillon could have gone on a protest to say, I want the entire breakdown of every dime that the lawmakers are making. He could do that for months. He would have gotten it. The letter he did show us when he took office in August of 2019. He waited, I think, for a month or so. They gave it to him. According to him, the guy who was for, I think, Ways, Means, and Finance in the Senate gave him, he wrote it down and gave it to him, and he had a press conference immediately. He waited patiently, right? Why Darius Dillon can't do that and give us the entire picture, but instead of giving us a little bit. My question is, who is the real Darius Dillon? Is he actually the light? I know my friends in the CDC call him Channing Light. So this light, where does it shine? Someone told me it's not even, that it's a torchlight, because torchlight, when you show it forward, there's darkness in front of you. And somebody is saying that is why Dillon does not on earth, Dillon does not highlight, Dillon does not criticize, Dillon does not show the light in or on the things that are happening in the opposition. This Dillon, Yaka Koloba. Yaka Koloba is a disgrace to Liberia. The thing I don't like about us is that because the government is doing bad and we hope for a better government, we want to get that government out of power. Any Tom and Jerry can yell and say any foolishness. It's because we feel that foolishness is an effort to get that bad government out of place. That person becomes our hero. It is sad that we do that. What I'm saying is, If we really want to be seen as a serious country, as a serious group of people that care about governance, I mean, that men of Yeke Koloba we should be counting on. I mean, think about how the guy talks, man. Yelling all over the place, standing on cars, raining insults on leaders. You can disagree with them. Who is the real Darius Dillon? So what I'm saying to you, Dillon could have done that and he could have given all that information. We don't have that information. Now, let me show you another piece of information quickly here. Let me show you another piece of information quickly here. Who is the real Darius Dillon? And before I go to that, let me show you something. Is Dillon a flip-flopper? That is the question we are trying to find answer for. Is Darius Dillon a flip-flopper? Let's answer that question quickly. That one shouldn't be difficult for us. Here you have it, folks. So now, the Darius Dillon who is perambulating in the corridor of power as the light, even though the light only shine on folks in the government, something that I appreciate, but the light should shine everywhere, folks. The light should shine in the opposition. The light should shine in his own party, the Liberty Party. But to hide under the cover of darkness, take money from Hassan Belete or Musa Belete, who he understands has the cloud hanging over him, and will go to help to making chairman of the Liberty Party. Despite the cloud, I'm using the word cloud. The popular perception against Musa Belete is not favorable. It's not favorable. And yet, this Dillon, who we call the light, that light will not shine in his own political party. And so, folks, here we are. Let me show you this quickly. Let me make it big for you, folks, so you can be able to read it. A.B. Darius Dillon, the Darius Dillon Center for Intellectual Exchange. I love this platform. This is a platform that brought Mr. Dillon to prominence. That was August of 2015. Dillon wrote, I have been reliably informed that the legislature has made final arrangement to purchase a fleet of 103 Nissan Patrol SUV, one for each lawmaker from the just passed national budget. Everything, I mean, even though we gave each of them transportation reimbursement allowance last year and every budget here, and he did his little multiplication here. 45,000 times 103. You can do the math. I am dull and not good at math. Dillon, you and myself are dull and not good at math, and even with numbers. So the point here is, this was Darius Dillon, the light, saying to you, to get $45,000 car for lawmaker, it is not something that the Liberian government should be doing. He says it's not sustainable. So the question is Darius Dillon a flip-flopper? This Dillon will get elected. He will take seat in August of 2019. This Dillon will take more than a $45,000 car, and his justification was that, oh, that car was procured for the late Gerando Sheriff. Dillon, when you wrote in 2015, that was not what you said. Who told you that those cars were not procured for the lawmakers at the time when you were writing in August 11 of 2015 at 4:32 p.m.? Darius Dillon, who told you those cars were not procured? Those cars were procured and you knew it. You even gave the breakdown that in the budget. You even went as far as saying, well, we gave the people transportation reimbursement allowance. So why are we buying cars from them? You have transportation reimbursement allowance, Senator Darius Dillon, but you took the car. You stay using the car. All of your supporters, those who like you, those who admire your politics, I do admire your politics, they pleaded with you. the likes of Vandela Patrick, the likes of Abraham Dode, many of your supporters, please don't take that card. Dillon took that card. The question is Darius Dillon a flip flapper? My answer is yes. And I, Ansony Sieh, approve this one. Yes, he is a flip flapper. A flip flapper is one who preaches this and does the opposite. He says this is why he's for. He can't do this. But when the opportunity presents itself for him to live his own words, he hit his own words. He backpedaled. Fast forward, folks. Dillon, the apologist, versus the backpedaler. This is a political analysis. This is no malice. This is what I do. I want a better Liberia. A Liberia in which leaders say they will do it and they will do it. A Liberia in which others make a conscious decision to remind leaders of their doing so that those leaders will fall in line. That is the Liberia that I want, and that is what I've chosen this path. This is my way of wanting that Liberia. But let me progress. It's not about me. Dillon, the apologist, was said the backpedaler. What is backpedaler? Somebody who says something and pull it back. Dillon has apologized so many times. He apologized about 6,500 that he took to approve a similar package that would not go well. People have not received their rights. He queried Tape, and there where he stabbed is breezed. He have to apologize. Darius Dillon will go and say, look, we will stone the president convoy. He's the man of peace, right? Dillon is this guy who say, oh, peaceful protest, participated in the June 7th protest. I participated in that protest as well. I agree with Dillon. We didn't have a protest. I'm a protest guy. But when is that peaceful protest? And now you are stoning convoys? Dillon said, and I quote, I will be the general. I will lead the troops. Some of you will not even know where guns will come from. We will go to the president's house. We will throw stones. Dillon language was unacceptable. He was preaching violence. We should not tread that path. We've seen what that has done for us or to us. It did destroy us. So these political leaders, their language must be one that does not excite violence. But to his credit, Mr. Dillon, congratulations. He came and said, look, I was wrong. I apologized. But the question is, who is the real Darius Dillon? It says the guy who comes up and said this and tomorrow apologizes. Or it said Dillon, the backpedaler, who will say this today, tomorrow, and pulls it back. Or I take it back. Dillon will go and pull back his comment about the Saul Paul scenario. He pulled it back. He apologized about stoning convoy. He apologized about talking to the woman that, that's not his responsibility. He will go in and apologize about that. There are many things he has apologized about. Folks, I'm going to conclude here quickly. I have a lot to cover, but because of time, this is what we will close with. And I'll be reading your comment, by the way. Sorry about that. Dillon, he said, when one operates under the cloud of darkness, then that creates suspicion in the eyes of the people. When Dillon recent campaign, he was raising money, pimping boys, everybody raised money. That was the kind of traditional politics I want to see, where politicians are raising money from the citizens, from their supporters, so that they can go into politics with nobody having anything on them. Dillon did that. I was impressed with that. We know in Liberia, politicians will be the one giving money for votes. But this Dillon guy came with a different style of politics, something impressive that is worth nurturing. Is that the Dillon, that the real Dillon? Or is it that Dillon who will not disclose that though I was raising money here and there, people in the diaspora are raising money for me, but under the cover of darkness will take money from Abache and Musa Belete and will not disclose that? I was having a chat with a friend who told me, he said, look, Sieh, it's not wrong taking money from somebody to support your campaign. I say, I agree with that. But then be able to disclose it. If you claim that you are the light and you're not going to hide anything, disclose. Did Dillon disclose how much total he raised? The money that was raised from the his campaign team, they disclosed it. I saw the video. It was a check. They showed it. That was good. The diaspora, they raised money. They disclosed the amount. That was good. But what's the money he took from Hassan Belete? Was that disclosed? Can you ask why he did not disclose that? Why will you not disclose it? You disclose all other, but you will not disclose the one from Hassan Belete? There's a reason. And that reason tells it all. And so the question is, when Dillon said we won't operate under the cloud of darkness, you create suspicion in the eyes of the people. Is Dillon now creating suspicion here? I want Dillon to be who he claims he is. But from what I see, that light is like a torchlight. It shines in front, it does not shine on the other side. He sees everything wrong with the CDC, and I agree with him in many instances. But that Dillon would not see anything wrong in his party. He doesn't see anything wrong in the opposition. He's quiet. He cutting people like Costa a slack. You saw how Dillon came out quickly and readily. And I got to know that Dillon have some form of connection with D15. That radio station, I see why he came out quickly, because, you know, the men Pepper Bush were being attacked by the government. He came out swinging for Costa. How long have we been crying for war crime court here? When was the last time we saw a bill? We saw a bill about to cost salary. Really? You want to cost salary? We want to see a serious bill. Well, folks, my name is Ansony Sieh. I brought you another edition of the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Let me read your comments. I know you have a lot. I'm going to read as many as possible. I have asked management to give me more time because I want to do justice to the subject that I'm discussing, because I know it's delicate. Very, very delicate subject. Some people think it's going to get me in trouble. But hey, I'm never in trouble when it comes to politics, because I'm fair. I'm fair. I go for the issue. I don't use invectives on issue. I respectfully disagree. I respectfully periscope individuals based on their record and their record only. Let's read this one from KBB Aku. No, he's not the light. Only flow show. Cecilia Logan. So that today you got to know that Dillon is Mr. Liarman. That's another version there. Whether it's a Liarman, this person has sell it. Or Kefala Kamunkai. Because his topic today is about Dillon, right? By Jebo Freeman. Real Channing lies in the house. James Tanon. Dillon is a 419 senator. What you want us to do now is late for that you guys want to him. I don't know. Read it better, my friend, so we can read it better. Franklin Wheeler. I am open-minded, but he is not a balanced talk show host and it's my right to express my candid opinion. Yes, I agree with you, my brother, that it is your right to express your candid opinion. I love criticism here. I'm not here. I'm not a perfect man, but I'm a fair man. I can make that argument any day. I was able to list things that Dillon has done. I admire the guy politics, but if you say you are the light, be the light. If you I say the God of accountability, be the God of accountability. And that is my qualm. And that is why I am periscoping Mr. Darius Dillon. And that is what I'm raising the question whether he is the real Darius Dillon or who is the real Darius Dillon, because the Darius Dillon that I have looked at through the pages of political history here, he has many faces. And these are the faces I'm showing you, so you can tell me which one is the real Darius Dillon. Saki White, false. David King, thanks. Said, hey, bro, tell also evangelist Gosen we are face shining light. The opposition, the CDC folks, they are happy now because Dillon has been periscope here. Emmanuel Nyankun Bearded, if you provide information, you must be real to your own conscience. You damn lie. Dillon didn't vote for the stimulus package. Dillon did vote for it. Go do your research. Jefferson Doe, he did pretty well to have disclosed the lawmaker's salary since 1847. Do yours. Yeah. You tell us. Let me see this one from Omaru Kengo. You, as an international journalist and your international institution, can go to the Capitol building to find out. Thank you for your comment. He said we can go there to find out. If Dillon can get it, where we get it. The real Chinese fake light in the house. Ja, Dillon doesn't have an idea of compare these information. No. Folks, please take your time to write your comment so that we can read it, so that they can, communicate your contribution here. We value that. Rather. Get your information straight. Dillon never voted for the stimulus package. This is the second person saying Dillon did not vote. Well, maybe you guys have a point there. Dillon is the light only to ignorant folks. Adolphus Z. Then he voted. You need to do your research. Until I'm proven right with the record, I think Dillon voted for the stimulus package because at some point Dillon said it was a good idea. Don't mind this liar. My Jange song Man United. Liberian people. Man United is your era now. If he didn't vote for the stimulus package, why did he receive the 6,500 or 8,000 or 13,000? That is a very good question. If he didn't vote for A, why he took that money and apologized? So if Dillon did not vote for A and he took the money, then Dillon is not actually the light. You're not for the stimulus package, then you will take the money and can't apologize. Those of you who are arguing with me that Dillon did not vote. So the man did not vote, but he took the money. The money was intended for them to vote. That was the purpose. Even though Dillon lied that it was part of their, legislative, money or something else. Normally, Kanga Lawrence came up with that same explanation, but later on, she had to change it. She said the money was given to them just about the time the CDC government wanted them to vote for the stimulus package. So the intention was take their money and vote for this. Dillon admitted that he took the money and he apologized. And you are saying he did not vote for A. Now, I don't want to make argument. If he did not vote for A, that's fine. But he didn't vote for A and he took the money. You even making Dillon ugly than I, as you're trying to make me to appear that I'm making Dillon ugly. You are making Dillon more ugly to say that, no, the man didn't vote for the money, but he didn't vote for the stimulus package, but he took the money anyway. You are doing Dillon a bad populist relation here. If you don't know, let me remind you. Too many comments. The Liberian people have started to see the real Dillon because he already got what he wanted. Too many comments. Management say I'm gonna close this. Can go 2 hours. Folks in cyberspace, too many comments. Here, Focus on Liberia, we want to thank you so very much for following our broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. We appreciate you for coming and being a participant in the national conversation. Folks, this is what I'm going to close with. We want a Liberia that we can all be proud of. A Liberia that works for every Liberian. It is that Liberia that I want for you, that I want for my brothers and sisters. It is that Liberia that Dillon says he wants. And that is what I'm holding him accountable on his own record. So if Dillon claims to be the light, let him be the light. Dillon can tell us, that, for the $5,000 car too much, but then when he became senator, he took it. Is that guy the real Darius Dillon? Dillon can't be complaining about corruption, and then he was running with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf just to back off the train. Folks, we can't thank you enough for following our broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. I think I lay it all on you. For those of you who disagree with my analysis here, I want to say thank you for disagreeing with me. I need that so that I can look harder at the facts and do a better research so that when I come here, I will do justice to the topic and I will provide nothing but the facts. In my judgment, I think I did, but we all see things differently. There's a song here that unites us. That song is called We Are All Liberians, and that song is taking us home.